brother. I got it.
I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your
The minor details. We are in episode 13. My co-host Pete Pitts, 107 movies and TV shows, and a rapper that's going to the top because he just made the minor details song also, right, Pete?
That's right. Thank you, Danny. Danny Miner, the crime solver. It's an honor to be here. I am your co-host of the Minor Details, Pete Pitts. And as Danny mentioned, yes, I've been in some movies and TV shows. I have an album out with Jelly Roll. I have a book called Path to Success. And I also recently composed the Minor Details theme song that's coming soon. Today, I have a huge episode for you guys, so I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually wearing my handcuff bracelets today to honor and respect to Danny Miner and all of the great law enforcement officers out there as we talk about a controversial subject of police brutality in America.
Yes, and we have Ashley on there. She's already saying, let's go. That's going to be on our shirts, Pete. Let's go. It's got to be on our shirts. Let's go.
Absolutely. Danny, show them the new shirt. Can you show our viewers out there the new design?
Yes, here. See? It looks good, right? It looks really good, right?
Everyone, get your Minor Details merch on the website. And we're also still entertaining sponsors. So anyone that is considering to sponsor the show, reach out to Danny and myself, and we'll let you know if you're a good fit.
Yes, definitely. Reach out to us. Listen, we are in now, Pete. I'm glad you said that. We are in 114 cities now. The Minor Details is in 114 cities, 12 countries. Berlin, Germany is listening to us. Welcome, Berlin, Germany. Pete, they're listening to us. We're international. We're international, Pete.
Danny, I wonder if we're translated over there yet, or if all of those fine people in those amazing countries just happen to speak English. Either way, I'm glad. I'm honored. Thank you to all our new listeners. Thank you to our repeat listeners. I see Angela. I see Ashley out here on the switchboards already. We've got a big show for you today. And Danny,
we are packed on Instagram too, Pete. It's packed.
Danny, you've had some amazing news this week. Let's find out about your week. You've been traveling a little. How's your week been?
Listen, I'm in Pennsylvania, okay? So I might look a little bit tired because, I didn't sleep as well. I got a little bit of jet lag. There's a 3-hour difference, but I still exercised this morning and I ate very bad. Because if you're in Northeast Pennsylvania, the food is absolutely amazing here. I know I live in Vegas, but I'll always love the food in Northeast Pennsylvania.
I love it. I love it. I did go on a nice trip there. We went through all the way through the Amish country there, bird in hand, Lancaster. Of course, I've been to like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Pennsylvania does have some great food. Shout out to the Northeast United States.
Exactly.
Today we're talking about a subject that's going to be coming from all over the United States, but it's actually applicable to everyone in the world. A lot of people across the world can relate to this. And Danny, a lot of people don't really know what it's like in America. They get their American stories from movies, TV shows, music. So it's an honor for you and I to be here and tell people the real facts about what's happening in America and what's been going on here.
Yeah. And Pete, we're going to talk about police brutality. And, a lot of people ask me to do this and they think I won't do it because I was a former cop. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what's wrong, what's bad, and what I think's going on and why police brutality has increased. I'm going to tell you that. So we're going to get into it after we do the entertainment spotlight. What do we have today?
Yes, absolutely. So since we're talking about police on this special issue, I do want to just go ahead and debunk all the rumors and all the negative comments out there that we saw as we were advertising this episode. People were saying, Danny and I must be anti-police. No, Danny was former law enforcement for 27 years. Right. I'm actually wearing my police handcuff bracelets as well as my blue dog tag pendant today. So we are in support and in honor of all those lawful, righteous officers and officials who are doing the right thing the right way. So that brings me to our entertainment spotlight, where I got to play a police officer for the first time in my life on the movie Barbershop 3. I was playing a Chicago cop, and I got to stare down Ice Cube as his character, Calvin, the owner of the barbershop. Danny, it took 40 takes
I'm watching that tonight, Pete. I'm watching you tonight.
So exhilarating. I felt like a real police officer. I was just, standing upright. I had my hand on my belt. I don't know if I did it justice exactly, but when I'm portraying a role as an actor, I really take it seriously and I really feel the honor of being that role. So I felt like my job that day was to be a Chicago cop, to keep the mean streets of Chicago clean, and to make sure that Calvin was not up to any funny business on Barbershop 3. It was an honor.
That's great. Pete, could you tell us one more time? What other time did you play a cop? Do you
So
remember?
I also played a police officer on I played a corrections officer on the Oprah Winfrey Network show Greenleaf. I was a Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee corrections officer. So that was
Okay.
playing a jailer. I got to play a Texas state trooper on, oh my gosh, I think it's called Game of, it's honestly been like 7 years and it's Game of something, but it was a show that only aired for one season. And I was literally in the middle of the entire scene at the party. I was a Texas state trooper officer busing up this party, and I showed up to kind of arrest the politicians, the dirty politicians.
Oh, God.
And I played a cop a handful of other times, as well as EMT and medical officials, doctor, orderly, nurse, ambulance driver, things like that. So it's always an honor to play someone who's protecting and serving.
Dude, and plus your brother was a cop, like we mentioned. So I was a cop 27 years. Your brother was a cop. So yes, we support law enforcement. But folks, there's nothing wrong with talking about things. If things could be fixed, if things could be better, why would we not talk about it? These are the subjects that America needs to talk about. That's how we get better. We have discussions, we communicate. That's just how I feel.
Absolutely. And here on the Minor Details, this is your show, America. This is your show, world. Everyone out there in the world. This is a show for you because not only are we discussing true crime legal cases, we're talking about the subjects that affect everyone, where you and I are going to sleep at night knowing that the world can be a better place if we actually deal with these subjects and we bring light to these difficult and controversial topics. So before we jump into that, we've got a couple of weekly highlights and we've got a couple of missing person spotlights, as we always do. But Danny, let's bring us over to something funny that I think you told me about, a Mount Fuji climber who had to be rescued.
All right, listen, we always got to give highlights of my videos for TikTok during the week. But before I go to that, I just want to say that there's people on Instagram saying that they love the show Greenleaf. They love it. So, Pete, you're definitely got some fans over here. They're loving the show Greenleaf, and they welcome me back home to Hazleton, too. So we got both things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But, folks, one of the funniest videos I did this week, there's a guy that climbed Mount Fuji, 27-year-old college student. Petey gets up to Mount Fuji on the top and he has to be rescued, okay? Because he can't get back down. The conditions were bad. They had to fly up there and rescue him. Now, get ready for this, folks, because this got 45,000 views. They bring him back down. When they bring him back down, he realizes he lost his cell phone. He fucking climbs back up Mount Fuji, has to be rescued again. I kid you not, this isn't a made up story. This guy had to be rescued 2 days in a row because he forgot his cell phone and decided, you know what? I can't afford another $1,000. I'm walking back up.
Wow. That's one of the craziest rescue stories and craziest mountain climber stories I've ever heard. You would think he would have learned his lesson after one time, but twice in a row.
I know. It's crazy, Pete. It's totally crazy.
That's mind blowing. We also have some updates in the Karen Reed case. Danny, would you like to tell everyone about that? Because
Pete, listen, I'm getting a lot of hate this week. Okay. People are mad at me about the Karen Reed case. My family's mad at me about the Karen Reed case. They all think she's innocent. Okay. All of them. Okay. My followers think she's innocent. Okay. But here's the thing. This is my biggest thing about Karen Reed. You have to believe, this is what they're trying to say. They're trying to say somebody killed this man in the house. And then he killed him in the basement because they got in a fight and he hit his head. Then you had to convince 30 people in that house to drum up a story and all be charged with criminal unalivement, conspiracy, and spend 30 years in jail. So do you believe Karen Reed or do you believe 30 people are lying? Or is one person lying? My guess is one person's lying, not 30 people. And not only these 30 people are lying, they would have to have the police department lying too. So that's my thing. I have a hard time believing Karen Reed's guilty. I mean, not guilty. I believe she's guilty. I think she did it by accident. I think she accidentally hit him and she drummed up this story. You know, she got an attorney and they came up with a story, sort of like the Menendez brothers when they were charged, and all of a sudden they came up with a story. You know what I mean? I always felt that about them too. That's why I don't 100% agree with them being released. You know, I go off and on with that.
Well, Danny, I think it's a really big topic, and I hope everyone will turn into our Karen Reed episode, one of our previous episodes that's now uploaded to all major podcast platforms, Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and please leave us a review. I see someone in the comments right here, McBlue, says she did it. So she definitely seems very guilty. When I first researched the case, I was kind of up in the air, but now I'm definitely leaning towards her guilt, and we will continue to bring you updates as that case evolves and as we find out more.
Pete, one more thing I want to say about that. Pete, you know what? Like after the day trial, like she's in trial right now. Think about this, Pete. This is second degree murder. You were looking at 20 to 25 years in prison. She's like a 40-year-old woman, my guess, somewhere around there. You know, she's going to be 60 when she gets out of jail or 65. Okay, that could happen to her. But yet this girl's smiling in court. She's doing interviews with the press after the day of trial. What defendants do that? Like this girl is loving the celebrity spotlight. And honestly, it's starting to make me think she's guilty. At first, I thought she was not guilty, but enjoying the celebrity spotlight, come on. I mean, that's just weird. You're looking at 25 years of life and you're smiling, joking about it. I just don't get it.
It's definitely disturbing. And just to piggyback off what you said earlier, I see Angela in the comments says, leave the Menendez brothers alone. They were victims. And that's another subject that we talked about in our previous Menendez brothers episode. I do believe they probably were victims, but that's a whole different subject.
I know. I kind of do too. I fall back and forth on it. I know I get hate for that, but I fall back and forth.
And I think the biggest question there, to elaborate on her comment, is, are victims allowed to take justice into their own hands, or are we supposed to rely on the law? That's a very difficult question for me to answer because sometimes things just don't seem right. But we're going to talk about a lot of right and wrong in today's episode. Danny, I actually just remembered the show that I played a cop on, if you want me to tell everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was Game of Silence on NBC. I played a Texas State Trooper, and a couple of the memories just flooded back into my head. I played a Mystic Falls police officer on the Vampire Diaries.
I didn't even know you were on that show.
Yes, I was on 2 episodes of Vampire Diaries. I also played a movie called The Day Shall Come with Anna Kendrick and Jim Gaffigan. I played Miami SWAT. That was a lot of fun. And then I also played on the show MacGyver for CBS. I played a Los Angeles SWAT member. So those are some of the other cop roles I've had. And like I said, it's always been an honor protecting and serving on camera.
Maybe someday I could be a cop. I'm hoping to play a cop. So do you want to get into our spotlight tonight?
Yeah, let's talk about our missing person spotlights, but let me just mention one more brief bit of news from this week. We actually had a terrible accident where John Elloway's agent was killed in a golf cart accident. So I just want to give my thoughts and condolences to John Elloway's agents, friends, and family. Of course, John Elloway himself. When I first saw this news, my heart skipped because John Elloway has always been one of my favorite quarterbacks. So I thought he had passed away, but to learn that his agent had passed away was still very devastating.
Yeah, what happened was they were on a golf cart, and I think they were at like a concert or something like that in Palm Springs. They're leaving there, and somehow he falls out of the golf cart and hits his head. Now, the police are coming right out and saying there is no reports that John Elway was driving reckless. So there's no reports that he had anything to do with this. But of course, they got to investigate it. And like I said on my video, Pete, you could be not guilty as hell. They still going to take you for a blood test, because when there's accidents involving a death or serious injuries, cops have the right to take your blood with a search warrant and make sure you're not drunk. Okay, that's something that's on your license. So they're going to get a search warrant for his blood. I'm sure he'd just give it to them. But that is normal. So if you hear that the cops took his blood alcohol level, that's normal for an accident involving death or serious bodily injury.
Okay, I see. Well, our thoughts.
That doesn't mean he's guilty, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of them. And answer your question in the comment. I'll have to look up the exact episode, but I was in the season finale of one of the Vampire Diaries I believe it was season 6. And I will look that up and get back to you on the TikTok live tonight, because I do plan on joining the TikTok live after party. And as we're getting on in time, let's go ahead and jump to our missing person spotlight. This is a segment of the show we do every week where Danny had the great idea to shine a spotlight on 3 missing people who we're going to try to help find. So Danny, do you want to get into our first one?
I mean, here's the thing with missing people. I say this in all my videos. You got to get the word out because somebody saw something. Pete, always somebody saw something, somebody heard something, saw something, smelled something, something. The public solves these cases, not the police. I always say that. So that's why the more we get the names out there, because as cases get old, people forget, Pete. They forget. Now, the first one is Sebastian Rogers. Okay. He is missing from your area of Tennessee, right? Close to you, right? Is that close to you, Pete?
Yeah, Hendersonville,
Clarksville?
close to Nashville. It's north of the area.
And he has ties to, I'm sorry, he has ties to Clarksville. And Sebastian has been missing since February 25th, 2024. And he's autistic also. Okay. I will put his picture up. I've done many videos on him. He is a national case. Sebastian Rogers is a national case, folks. So we're going to put it up on our Facebook page. Please get the word out. Share everything that we have, because that's how we bring people back.
Absolutely. Thank you, Danny. So please, if you saw something, if you're anywhere in the Henderson, Nashville, Clarksville area, and you saw this little young man, please say something, especially because he is autistic and he may not be able to rightly get the help that he would be seeking. Our second missing person spotlight actually comes to us from San Antonio, Texas. And this is a very, very young little girl, Lena Sardar Cahill. And Lena was last seen on the afternoon of December 20th, 2021 at a playground in an apartment complex of Fredericksburg Road in San Antonio, Texas. She was last seen wearing a black jacket, a red dress, and black shoes. And she was born in 2018, so she was 3 years old at the time she went vanished. Today, she would be 7. So please, anyone in the San Antonio, Texas area, please get the word out. Please help find young Lena.
And listen, we have a baby missing too. And this is from December 2nd, 2019, Vanessa Morales. Okay, folks, she was missing after her mom was found dead in their home. Her mom was found dead on December 2nd, 2019, and Vanessa, who was 1 at the time, has never been seen again. So we have a 1-year-old baby missing. And folks, this is just 3 cases. There's thousands upon 10,000s of missing people. And that's why we do the podcast, because these people are forgotten about. And me and Pete won't let you forget them. We're going to put them on our website, and we're going to do this every single week.
Yes. Please tune in to the Facebook page, The Minor Details. Forgive me. It's very troubling, Danny, when we do these missing person segments, just like all the content that we dive into that is really heartfelt stuff that's really affecting families. I understand. I've been through a lot of pain, Danny. You've been through a lot of pain. We understand loss. We understand grief. And we want to help spare people that. We want to help do our part and what we feel like is our duty. It's our obligation and it's our duty to help find these people. That's how I feel.
Pete, I just want you to know, I've gotten word from multiple people, including McBlue just now. People do want us to have a podcast at least twice a week, and we will get there. I promise you, we will get there, because people want to hear us more, which is great. I love it, and we will get there. Let's get a couple sponsors, and we'll go twice a week.
Absolutely. And it's funny, off air, Danny and I have been talking about that. We've been talking about kind of some side tangents. I mean, we could do a whole entire missing person podcast just with the sheer number of missing people, but we will continue investigating that. Please leave us comments and tell us what you want to hear about next. Danny, are you about ready to jump into this main case?
I'm ready. Now the comments are going to flow, and we want your comments. So if you think we're wrong, tell us. If you think we're right, tell us. If you want us to talk about something else, let us know. Let's jump into it, Pete. Police brutality in America.
Wow, Danny, police brutality. This is something that a lot of people have already told us don't talk about. They already have said, they've judged us already. I think they said, oh, this must be some podcast from a couple of Democrat lefty liberals who hate the police. And no, they couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm personally not political. I'm just an American. I've been both Republican and Democrat, left and right. and I understand perspectives. I see different perspectives, but what we want to talk about today is what is right versus what is wrong. And we're going to talk about specific cases across America that we have seen in the news and in the media. And Danny is going to give us his expertise. So Danny, would you like to begin this main subject by telling us what defines police brutality as opposed to normal police use of force?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what they described in the police academy test. Okay, in the police academy, they told us it's that last punch that gets officers in trouble. So you're trying to handcuff a guy, right? You're trying to arrest him and you're fighting with him. You're fighting with him. You might have to hit him. He might be hitting you. You're trying to get him on the ground. Once you get him on the ground and he's in control, that officer loses control because his adrenaline's flowing and he gives him that last punch. They always tell you that last punch is what's going to get you in trouble. So once you get him in custody, you can't hit anybody anymore. Once they stop using force against you, you can't do that. Now, I need to describe what force is on police, okay, for you to understand it. People don't understand this, but force is just a police officer in uniform. So when a police officer walks in a building, that's force because people look at him like something's happening. So you just coming in there is force. Then there's verbal commands. You go over there, you go there, you go there. So there's all kind of force. So force is using verbal commands, okay, to do the thing. So your presence, then your verbal commands. Pete, and then there's hands-on. So you're saying, hey, you're under arrest, put your hands, and the guy starts wrestling with you, and you can't get him handcuffed. So now you're hands-on. What do you do then? Then you go to your less lethal force. You go to your pepper spray, right? You go to your taser. Now, if that don't work, it's a progression. As you can see, presence, verbal commands, hands-on, pepper spray, taser. Then you go to deadly force. So you did all of these, and then you get the deadly force. So once you did all of these things and they didn't work, now you go to deadly force, if that makes sense. Now, could it progress to deadly force very quickly? Of course it could. But that's what cops' use of force is. That's what we were taught. We were taught our presence is a force. It's a force. Just seeing us in uniform. Verbal commands, that's a force. You're telling people, go here, go there, go there. So that's what we were taught in police work. We have to go through this progression before we get up to deadly force.
Wow, Danny, thank you for elaborating. And that's something that actually is interesting to me. You just kind of illuminated that for me. I've always thought of verbal commands being a use of a type of force, and of course, all the physical actions you described. But I never really thought about just the presence of an officer being a type of force. Just you're in the building, so now a force is present, the police force. So that really, well, and as Angela says, may the force be with you.
That's true. I mean, you walk in, there's a presence. When you see a police officer, they bring a presence. That's a force. You're already getting intimidated. Then they start giving you verbal commands, and then there's hands-on. Okay. So a lot of police officers get in trouble when the fight is all over and they give that last punch. Honestly, that's the biggest thing. And Pete, I want to say something else about like shooting somebody, okay? Because that's force too. Of course, you're killing somebody, okay? People always, the biggest misconception, you hear people say this all the time. He shot him 25 times. The cop shot him 25 times. The cop shot him 15 times. We are taught that, Pete. We are taught to shoot till they drop, till they stop moving. We're taught to boom, boom, boom until they drop. That's what we're taught. Then we're taught also that if we shoot them twice in the chest and they don't fall down, we shoot them in the head. We are taught this. I know people don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you what it's taught. We're taught like we practice this, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. So if they're wearing a bulletproof vest, you shot them twice, they didn't go down, you shoot them in the head. We're taught this. We train this. We practice this yearly. People don't want to hear this, but this is how police are trained.
Wow, Danny. I really think it's great that you're actually being honest from a law enforcement officer, telling the world, telling the public what cops are really taught and how they're trained to think. Because a lot of people, we just see the portrayal in the movies. I took my personal law enforcement role. I took that as kind of an extrapolation of real life police I've seen, as well as all the movies and TV shows I've seen. And I made my own cop character based on that. But I did not know the full dynamics of what you're describing. So before I ask you one more question, I want to get into one or two comments. One person on YouTube says, "I've been beat up by the cops, but I had it coming. Hey, it's all good. No shame, no foul." And
I like that guy. I like that guy. You know what? Send us your address. You're getting a free shirt.
that's
He's
right.
getting a free shirt or a coffee mug. Send me your DM me your address. You're getting a free mug.
Yes, absolutely. That's very funny. And it's true, honest. And someone else on Instagram says, "I lived in Crossville, Tennessee years ago, a lot of woods." So they're talking about probably the Tennessee cases we talked about. Shout out to Crossville. Shout out to
Yeah.
all of Tennessee. And shout out to all of our listeners worldwide. Now, Danny, as we're talking about police brutality, we're going to evolve into that in just a moment. But will you tell everyone why are cops trained the way that you just said? Why are they trained to empty a whole clip in a perpetrator, for example? Can you explain that?
Yes. And I'm so glad you asked that, Pete. We're going to go back to there was once an FBI, it was called the FBI massacre or FBI, whatever. I can't remember off the top of my head. There was these two bank robbers. Okay. They were robbing banks. The FBI was supposed to be waiting for them, right? They end up having a big FBI. The FBI gets in a shootout with these two bank robbers. Okay. The first bank robber was shot fatally with the first shot. So the FBI agent shot him. It was a fatal shot, but he didn't go down. That guy ended up killing two more FBI agents after he was fatally shot. So the shot fatally shot him. He was going to die. There was no saving him, but he still was going and killed two more guys. It's not TV. You don't shoot people and they die. Okay, it's not like, oh, that's TV. Pete will tell you that's TV. People don't die right away. Okay, so a guy could be shot fatally and still kill more people. We are taught to keep shooting till the threat is done, until the threat is done. So that means him falling. And we are taught to shoot here twice. And then if he doesn't go down, we're taught to shoot in the head because they might have a bulletproof vest. Now, Pete, I want to go to Angela's comment. Why not the leg? That is a great comment. Angela, I probably hear that 75 times a day, okay, from people. I swear. Why to shoot him in the arm? Why to shoot him in the leg? This and that. You are responsible for every little bullet in your gun. So a cop is responsible for every little bullet in the gun, okay? You aim at the biggest target on the body. The biggest target is right here. This is the target you aim at. This is the biggest target. This is where we were taught to shoot. We can't shoot at the smaller target because if you shoot at the smaller target and miss, you can kill an innocent person. You can kill a kid. You can kill this person that has nothing to do with this. So we were taught to shoot here because this is the biggest target. And if you shoot here, you might hit an innocent person. So that's how we are taught. We are taught to shoot right here. And we were taught to empty that gun until they fall till the threat is done. So when you see a guy shot 15 times, we are trained that way. We are trained to shoot them 15 times. I hate to say that, but I'm telling you that's how we're trained.
Well, that actually does explain it in a lot more detail than I've ever heard. I do see the switchboards lighting up even over here on Instagram. One person said, "It's your life against theirs." Another person said, "I agree with the comment that Angela made. Why not shoot the leg first?" Well, Danny, that does seem to explain it. So if I can just clarify and re-demonstrate, basically what you're saying, Danny, is if you're in a, let's say, active shooter, let's say you, Danny, are responding to an active shooter at a college or a school, university, terrible situation. The shooter is there and they have their gun in hand. If you shoot them in the leg, how many more bullets can they possibly get off?
Oh, tons.
So,
You got to stop the threat. And here's the thing, Pete. If you go to the thing is, you're like I said, you're responsible for every one of them bullets.
yeah,
Okay. Could you imagine if you go to shoot this guy in the arm, you miss him, and you kill a 3-year-old kid? You'll be in civil court for the rest of your friggin' life. You'll be getting sued. The police department gets sued. You cannot shoot an innocent person because you're trying to not shoot the criminal, is what I'm basically saying. So we are not taught that way. So when I see people yell about that, the cops are taught to shoot till the threat is done. That's how we are taught to shoot. And it's how we train. It's how we train. Pete, and I just want to tell you, police shootings are usually within 3 to 6 feet. They're close. These police shootings are close. Pete, we were taught to shoot from our hip like this, boom, 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 because most shootings, police shootings are this close. We were taught to push the guy and shoot him, push the guy and shoot him. There was all kind of theories, two in the chest, one in the head. We practiced this. And that's why when the media starts hounding, they shot him 15 times. You have Don Lemon on there crying, they shot him 15 times. They shot him 15 times because they're taught to shoot him 15 times. We are taught to stop the threat. That's life. That's the way it is. We're taught that. So how could you teach a cop that he does it and then want him arrested? You taught him to do that.
Well, Danny, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that everyone out there, especially all of those listeners and viewers who live in America, who understand the United States of America and how things work here, we all have to at least come to the agreement that there is a price and a cost for freedom, protection, and security. And thank you, Danny, for elaborating and telling us how a law enforcement officer is supposed to be trained, what they're supposed to do, because I believe you were a great cop when you were a cop. When you were on duty, I believe you truly took it seriously and you truly tried every single day to honor that oath. But in the last 30 minutes of this episode today, we're going to talk about some outliers. We're going to talk about cops who, some of them, I think were just dirty, were not good people and did horrible, malicious things. Others of them might have made mistakes. So we'll let you all answer, the viewers, the listeners, and Danny and myself will give our opinions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Danny. You have a question right here, I see.
Yeah. What is the craziest, scariest situations you ever been in on or seen? Listen, here's the thing. That's a great question, Ashley. Actually, there was 3 police shootings while I was a cop. Thank God I wasn't involved in any of them in my police department, okay? I was close to being there, but I was never there. I never had to shoot anybody, thank God. I never wanted to, okay? But I've been there afterwards, you know what I mean? After the shootings. The scariest thing, and I'll make it very quick, Ashley, because we want to get on with this, but I'll tell you, I worked undercover drugs. Okay, so I bought crack, I bought heroin, I was the undercover guy. I got in the back of a car with 2 drug dealers who held me hostage at gunpoint, and they were going to kill me because I was a cop. I was held hostage at gunpoint in a car.
What?
And listen, as you guys all know, I could talk and bullshit really good. I bullshitted my way out of that car. And they didn't kill me. And I had a gun on me. I had a gun in the middle of my back hidden. But if I went for the gun, Pete, they would have killed me. So I couldn't go for my gun. So basically, I talked my way out of it. But I was held hostage because they thought I was a cop. I was buying crack cocaine from them, but they thought I was a cop and they held me hostage at gunpoint.
Wow, Danny,
I was in the back seat. They were in the front seat.
Danny, first of all, how did you feel? And secondly, what did you say to get out of that situation?
This is what I did, guys. When he pulled the gun on me, because they asked me to see my crack pipe. I was buying crack and I didn't have a crack pipe on me. So they're like, "Are you a fucking cop?" And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not a cop. You guys are making me nervous," I said. And they said, "We think you're a cop. Where's your fucking crack pipe?" And I said, "Guys, you're making me nervous." So then when they pulled the gun on me and they said, "If you're a cop," Pete, I kid you not. The guy turned around, put the gun right in my chest. He said, "If you're a cop, I'm going to fucking kill you right here." Put the gun a half an inch from my chest. And Pete, I put my hands up and I'm like, "Yo, you guys are scaring me." I started laughing. I was like, "Yo, you got a gun and shit, guys. I was just trying to buy drugs. I just want to get high." That's what I did. And I had a wire on me, but the people lost me. So the people that were following me, the other cops that were following me, I was lost. I was alone in an alley in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and these guys were going to kill me. That's the truth. And somehow I got out of it. And I'll be honest with you, the next day, I thought I was still dead. I was like, did I really survive that? Am I just a soul that I don't know I'm dead? Because I have no clue how I got out of that. But somehow I was not killed. I don't know how. Honestly. No, I had no idea how.
Wow, Danny, I'm glad you're still here. Last question about that topic, because the switchboards are lighting up on Instagram.
I know. I know.
But Danny, I know the viewers want to know, how did you feel in that moment? Did you honestly think that was going to be your last day on Earth for a moment?
Do you want to know something, Pete? And I think I only told 1 or 2 people this. I felt it was coming. I don't know why. I had this feeling, a bad feeling in my stomach when I was working undercover. I actually had a bad feeling so bad that I called my ex-wife. It has to be bad when you call your ex-wife. I called her and I said, "Listen, if something ever happens to me, I have my pension and my kids' names. So I wanted her to understand that if I died on duty, the kids would get my pension and everything. And my ex-wife's like, why are you saying this to me? I'm like, I just want you to know. You know what I mean? I said, I just want you to know. And 3 days later, this happened to me. Pete, I had a gut feeling I was going to get killed. I have no idea why, but that's the truth of the matter. It really is. And I still did it anyway.
Wow, Danny. Someone on Instagram says God was with you. I definitely believe it was not your time. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're through, man. That's insane. What a
Yeah.
story.
That's a 100% true story, guys.
Wow. Everyone tune in to the Minor Details for more crazy, official, real, true stories from Danny Miner and myself. Let's
Yeah.
get on. We have to talk about some of the cops who have done things wrong in our last 25 minutes of this episode, because police brutality is such a big topic and it's so polarizing. Of course, you have diehard supporters of law enforcement. You have diehard supporters of defunding the police. And then you have a lot of people in the middle who believe that good cops are doing a great job, but we don't need the unnecessary brutality and the unnecessary violence that transpired in many cases, such as way back in March 3rd, 1991, when a young man named Rodney King was brutalized by 4 officers. All of them happened to be white, and they were all acquitted of criminal charges in Los Angeles by a mostly white jury. And that caused a huge riot in 1992, the 1992 LA riots, where more than 50 people died, 2,000 people were injured, 9,500 people were arrested, and over $1 billion in property damage occurred. So, Danny, where were you? Do you remember the Rodney King incident?
I was a cop. I told you I'm old. People don't realize I'm old. I was a cop for 4 years already. Okay. So I
Wow.
definitely 100% remember it. Uh, it changed law enforcement forever because we used to go hands on with people a lot. Okay. And when you go hands on, and the other thing is the billy clubs. Remember they called them billy clubs where you would hit somebody? That changed forever. Like cops don't even carry that anymore. Okay. It looks horrible. My chief in our police department, he made us stop carrying them. We cannot carry asp. We cannot carry billy clubs because what he said was you're basically hitting somebody with a pipe. You're hitting somebody with a pipe. Okay. That's what asp are. And it just looks horrible. I mean, our chief put it in policy that we couldn't use them.
Well, I would say that's described as, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, that's known as a less than lethal force, although sometimes it's lethal, correct?
Yes, it could be if you hit somebody in the head. Now,
Okay.
you were trained not to hit people in the head. You were trained to hit them like in their joint areas, in the back of their legs, the back of their arms. But people are fighting. You might accidentally hit them in the head. You might hit, who knows where you're going to hit them? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I personally like the pepper spray. I do. A pepper spray works. If you were ever sprayed with that, it works. My big thing is don't carry a taser, carry pepper spray. That's what
Okay.
I always say.
Okay. And thank you. I see a comment on my hair. Apparently, my hair is getting a lot of views. So thank you for wonderful.
Pete, your hair looks good.
Danny and I are talking about police brutality in America. And right now, we're diving into the Rodney King case. And Danny, I want to know, what did you and your fellow officers think, or are you comfortable sharing what you all talked about when that case was happening, when you all saw it airing on the news?
When I saw it, I knew it was going to change law enforcement forever. And the reason I'm saying that is because I didn't finish my story that I'm thinking about now. We stopped the hands on. That's when pepper spray came. That's when tasers came. So it changed law enforcement to less lethal. Like you're not hitting somebody with a pipe, you're spraying them, which they're going to be fine afterwards. They're going to feel like their face is burning off, but within a half hour, they're going to be fine. There's no long-term effects of pepper spray, none of that. Okay. So that changed law enforcement forever. We stopped going hands-on as much. You would go hands-on every night. Pete, when I first became a cop, I fought every Friday and Saturday night. Every Friday and Saturday night. You were fighting, you were breaking up bar fights, you were breaking up this, especially in Freeland, Pennsylvania. Anybody on here from Freeland, Pennsylvania, there's bars and churches on every single block. So there was fights every single night.
Wow. So Danny, fight in the 80s, but in 91 and 92, after Rodney King, you're saying that your department, and would you say most of America, started trying to phase into a less lethal, less hands-on approach?
Yes. Yes. And she has here, they have tear gas and pepper balls. Yes. And let me tell you something, Pete. I got hit with one of them lethal force. You know, they shoot the beanbags.
Mhm.
Okay. One of my friend, one of course, even though we're cops, we're like little children. Okay. So of course they shot me with that less than lethal force. I came out of my office one day. They were pointing a gun at me. I tried to run and they shot me with one of them beanbags. It left a welt on me, Pete. I swear to God, I had a black and blue mark on me like that. They shot me with the least like lethal force and it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, those things can be dangerous and painful. I talked to several people who've gotten shot by them. And before I jump into that and talk about some of my experiences around different techniques of officers' use of force, I want to ask, has there been any cases of pepper spray or tear gas murdering someone? Has that ever caused a death? I've never heard of any situations like that. And
The
I
only thing I remember, Pete, there was this kind of pepper spray. It was thinking it was called capsin or something like that. It had some kind of like alcohol in it or something, and they sprayed a guy and then they tasered him and he caught on fire.
oh wow.
Yes. So they pepper sprayed him. When that didn't work, they tased him. The spark with the taser caught him on fire and he died.
Wow. I did not know that. And someone
And
else.
listen, I just want everybody to know if a cop carries pepper spray or a taser, they get pepper sprayed and tasered themselves so they know what it feels like.
Yes.
I've been pepper sprayed.
Yes, definitely no
Oh,
fun.
you
But
know.
I like the idea in concept of less lethal force because that gives the criminals another chance at another day of life and another chance to maybe repent, maybe do some good. I mean, I look at Jelly Roll, for example, now. Jelly Roll is age 40, the country music artist who I have an album with, streaming
Yeah.
on platforms. Jelly Roll recently is appealing to the parole board in Tennessee to try to get his previous felonies expunged. He went to jail a lot of times. He was doing violent crimes, he was doing drug deals, but he changed his life and now he's doing good in the community. So I believe in redemption, and that's what
I
I'm
do
saying.
too.
I think what you're talking about is a great idea. However, as we know, that always hasn't transpired. Not all officers have followed these protocols, and that's why we're having this topic. I just want to mention one more thing about Rodney King. We would even only know about this if we would not know about this if it wasn't for a bystander in LA who filmed it with his camcorder and sent it to the local news. This was
Right.
way before body cameras. This is way before there was a camera in everyone's pocket via cell phone. So, Danny, can you tell us about that, about how things changed when body cameras and video cameras and phone cameras started coming into use?
Oh yeah, it changed everything. And I just want to say we will get to that. We got a comment on Instagram. They want us to talk about the guy kneeling on gosh, I'm drawing a blank. What was his name?
Yes, George Floyd. The officer was Derek Chauvin. We'll talk about
Yes. We'll talk about that right next because
it. Yeah,
that's the big case to talk about. We'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, I mean, once cell phone cameras came out, of course, it made cops think twice before they did anything because they know they're being videotaped. And listen, I'll be honest with you, I like it. I like that the cops have to wear their body cam now because as a police officer, to me, I looked at it as it's protecting me. So if somebody says I did something wrong and I know I didn't, it protects me. So me as a cop, knowing I do right, it did not bother me to have a body cam on. I liked having a body cam on. But if you're telling me did videotaping and cell phones change police work, of course they did. Because when these cases like Rodney King or the kneeling on the neck, we would have never seen this if it wasn't for cell phone cameras. So these police officers would not be in jail because no one would have seen this. They would have just thought he died. You know what I mean? So nobody can see that. So yes, it changed and it made police work to me more professional. I'm going to be honest with you.
I agree, and I appreciate that answer. I appreciate your honesty because I really think that most honest and trustworthy and faithful cops who are faithful to the law that they're sworn to protect, they will agree with you. They'll say, "Hey, I've got nothing to hide because I'm doing things by the book." If you're a shady cop, you shouldn't be a cop. Just like if you're a shady politician, you shouldn't be a politician. If you're shady, then you're in the wrong field. And in answer to Angela's question, she said, "When did body cameras begin?" She answered her own question actually. They began in around 2010 and shortly after, because that's when the public outcry got larger and larger. That's when cell phone cameras started to capture footage. And just 5 years ago, we had one of the biggest cases in America, which we did have some comments already on Instagram asking about the George Floyd murder. And Danny, this was the second largest level of civil unrest and mass destruction in the United States after the 1992 LA riots. So this was the second most amount of destruction. And I wonder why. If anyone out there hasn't seen the George Floyd footage, you can easily look it up and you can see what happened. A man in Minnesota was arrested, and the officer, Derek Chauvin, kneeled on him for over 9 minutes while George begged for his life, saying, "I can't breathe. Please let me up. I can't breathe." And he ultimately died while being on camera, while being filmed by a bystander, not with Derek's body cam, by the way.
Pete, yeah, it definitely is. And Pete, here's the thing. And you know me, I like to be honest with everything. I'm going to tell you why at first they didn't do anything. Everybody you arrest tells you they're having a heart attack because they don't want to go to jail. So everybody you arrest is sick. Oh, I feel like I'm having chest pains now. Pete, I can't even tell you how many people have said that to me. Okay. But you still get them help. No matter how many times I know the person was lying to me, I still took them to the hospital. So anytime somebody told me I'm feeling like I'm having chest pains, I call the ambulance, I take them to the hospital immediately. So even if you know they're faking. So what I'm saying is these cops heard this before because criminals say it all the time. Oh, I'm sick. I'm having a heart attack. They don't want to go to jail. Okay. But this man was crying for his mother. He said he couldn't breathe. People on the scene were watching it saying, let him breathe, let him breathe. And I believe that Derek is a smug, I'm going to say it, he's an asshole cop that thought he was better than everybody else. And he knelt on this guy and thought, I'm not doing anything. You could say whatever you want. I'm going to kneel on this guy's neck because I'm Derek, the police officer. Honestly, he's an arrogant son of a gun. And that's why he did that. Did he think he was going to kill him? Probably not. You know what I mean? He probably didn't think that. But what he should have done, they should have got him in the car and got him out of there ASAP. We are taught when there's a hostile crowd to get the guy out of there. Put him in the police car, get him out of there. They should have put him in a police car, went to the ambulance, got him on the ambulance, is what they should have done. They should have got him out of that scene. Instead, they knelt on his neck until the ambulance got there and it was too late. What happened was the ambulance was busy that night. They couldn't get there quickly. That's what happened, or they went to a different place. But there was a reason the ambulance was delayed. I can't remember right now. So that's why it took 9 minutes.
Well, Danny, I think that if Derek himself or the other 3 officers that were all on scene standing by while George Floyd died, if any of them had known that that footage was going to come out, that they would be investigated, I guarantee you they would have done things differently. Just like what you're describing an order of operations of how a law enforcement officer is supposed to act. Now, Danny, I just want to reiterate for the public, for all of our viewers and listeners, is this the correct order as an officer? Correct me if I'm wrong. Protect the public first and yourself as an officer, and then protect the suspect as well. Is that kind of the order of operations?
Guys, exactly. And let me tell you something else. After we shoot somebody, we have to help them. We have to do CPR on them. We have to stop their wounds. So after we shoot somebody, we have to help them. That's how it works, guys. Okay, so we are taught that. But here's something. Are you ready for this? And the public's going to go nuts when I say this, Pete. Even if we shoot somebody and we think they're dead, we are taught to handcuff them. So you might see someone that was shot by the police, but then handcuffed after he was shot. We are taught that. We are taught to handcuff the subject. So I've seen that before. But when I was a cop, Pete, we were always afraid to tell the public what we do. And I always said we should be honest with the public. So when they hear the guy was shot 15 times, they know we're trained for that. You know what I mean? I think police hide stuff from the public and stuff should not be hid. We should tell how we are trained. That's my feeling.
I really like that, Danny. And as a member of the public and someone who appreciates law enforcement, but who has never been one, I think that that's fair. And that makes me want to trust a law enforcement agency that's willing to reveal a little bit about why they do the things they're doing. I understand that we can't have top secret knowledge. We can't have confidential information on cases that are ongoing right now. I get it. Of course, I understand why. But at the same time, with you explaining this in this short episode of the Minor Details right now, this is giving me more elaboration to how a law enforcement officer is trained than I've ever got watching any Hollywood movie or TV show. And it's a shame that we don't know the truth more. So, Danny, I appreciate you sharing all of these honest facts about how a cop should be.
And I want to tell you this. The other thing is, when we shot, every time we were required to shoot once a year. You had to qualify with your weapon once a year. You had to qualify with the shotgun. You had to qualify. We carried ARs too. So you had to qualify with the AR. You had to qualify with your pistol. So there was 3 guns that you qualified with. And every year they would re-go over use of force with all of us. So we would have classroom work every year on when we could use force, when we can't use force, when we could use deadly force. So we were trained, even though I was a cop 27 years, I still got training yearly on the use of force and what I can do and what I can't do. And listen, the thing, I'm going to say this again, the adrenaline starts flowing when you're fighting. And cops, when they get the guy in custody, like I said, it's that last punch when you already got him handcuffed that gets most cops in trouble, and they teach us that. That's the truth.
Wow, Danny, I appreciate that. The comments are lighting up over on Instagram. One person asks, what happens to using stun guns? And another person asks, again, would you reiterate why you would have to shoot someone 15 times again? As you explained earlier, Danny, stun guns are a level of progression of non-lethal force first, but
Right.
as the determining jurisdiction, you have the final say. Basically, you have the judgment, correct, to determine if it's going to be necessary to use lethal force, correct?
Exactly. I mean, that's your judgment. But I mean, you got to realize some of these judgments are in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So in 3 seconds, you got to decide if you're going to kill somebody or not. Because if you don't make the right choice, it might be your life. And people don't understand that. Here's the other thing, Pete. God, we could probably do 2 episodes of this. I'm going to be honest with you. We are taught as police officers, every single call we go on, there's a weapon on the call. There's a weapon. There's a gun. You know whose gun? Ours. Because our gun could be taken off us and we could be killed with our own gun. Most police officers are killed with their own gun. And we are taught that. We are taught that there's a gun on every single call. It's our gun. So I'm just telling you the ins and outs of everything we were taught. We are taught safety 24/7 to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
24/7. I still do it now, Pete. I still act like that now because it's so bred into me over all the years of being a cop. I mean, it's crazy, but that's what we were taught. And, I think the general public needs to hear this. Yes, we are taught to shoot somebody 15 times until they fall. It's called till the threat is done. Okay. We're taught to shoot somebody until the threat is over. And people don't realize that because, and if that person tuned in late, I want to explain. The reason is the first shot could be fatal, but yet they can kill 3 other people because it's happened. The first shot could be a fatal shot. It's not TV. People don't, and die. Okay, that don't happen. That's TV. Okay, people could be fatally shot 3, 4 times and still kill 3 more people. So we're taught to shoot till they fall, till the threat is done. Yeah, and that's a fact. I hate to say that, but I'm telling you, that's the fact.
I appreciate you answering, and thank you to our viewers who asked that question, because that's actually something that I would want to know as well, Danny. It's something I was always curious about. After working in many movies and TV shows, I did a lot of shooting scenes. I've been on movie sets and TV show sets with a lot of real guns as well as prop guns, fake guns, and often that's exactly how you described it. Movie shots. You die after you get hit one time, boom, you fall. In The Walking Dead, I got hit and I fell. And so it's dramatized and it's made into this depiction that sells. So what Danny and I and some people in the world have seen is real life or death situations and real situations of gunshots out in the world. And what you're saying, Danny, is that sometimes it's necessary to empty a whole clip in order to make sure the threat is completely dissolved.
Yes. Yes, and Pete, we were taught to reload. I mean, we could reload our gun. You got to realize most cops probably have, oh my gosh, just off that, maybe 60, 70 bullets on, each cop. You know what I mean? So we are taught this. Plus, we have an AR-15 in the car or a shotgun, which is another, 30 some rounds in there if we needed that. So yes, I mean, unfortunately, we are taught this, guys. we are taught this. So, and then the news comes out and they'll say, oh my God, they shot him 17 times. We're trained to shoot them 17 times. We're trained again, shoot them twice in the chest, once in the head. We practice it at the range. They'll blow a trigger, go boom, boom, boom. They'll blow the whistle again, boom, boom, boom. We practice it.
Wow, Danny, thank you again for your honesty. I think you're probably one of the only honest, completely honest law enforcement officers, even though you're not currently on duty, but you're explaining this so well. So I really appreciate it. I know our viewers do as well. We actually only have 6 minutes left. Somehow, I don't know how, we've been flying through this episode. I think we will do a part 2 in the future.
I think we will, because people really, I mean, we're packed here on Instagram.
Yeah.
Questions, I mean, it's packed up.
The comments are coming in. I want to just elaborate really quickly on, again, the George Floyd protest. So when that happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, all of Minnesota started protesting. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I went downtown to see what was going on in Atlanta, Danny. And when I went downtown, I saw mass riots. I saw protests. I was a peaceful protester. I was just standing there to see what was going on at first, because I was like, this is not cool that this Derek guy and these other officers have not been arrested yet and charged. We all saw the video. We all knew that George Floyd was murdered illegally. And that was my opinion as an American. I said, I was standing up with all the protesters saying, no, this is not cool. Other protesters started riots. They were burning things. They were breaking stuff. And it escalated quickly, Danny. I saw so much violence in Atlanta. I'm sad to say I did see a lot of officers, I think, that were abusing their use of force. However, most of them were trying to contain the threats. Most of them were trying to protect and serve. But man, as we only have 5 minutes left in this episode, there's not enough time for me to go into details, but I will say it was traumatizing what I saw. It was shocking, but also it was invigorating as a human to know that I was standing up. I was protecting the other people around me, my fellow citizens, and I was not against any law enforcement officers there. I was standing up against use of force and police brutality. I was standing up against racism. I was standing up against the use of power and the abuse of power to take someone's life that was unnecessary. And I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had to.
Pete, I mean, protests are good. I mean, people, I mean, it's not violent protests, but protests, you have the right as an American to say, yo, this is wrong. And protests could change things. It really could. We need to change things. Pete, I just want to answer this one question on Instagram because it's a good question. Why do cops touch the back of someone's car or truck when they pull them over? Good question. We are trained. I told you everything is safety, guys. Everything is safety. So somebody could be hiding in that trunk. When we go up to the driver's thing, they could pop out of the trunk and kill us. So what we do is we're taught to hit that trunk to make sure it's locked. So we press down on that trunk to see if it's locked. We also check the back of a truck as we're walking up to make sure that the gate's not open. The other thing is, say somebody, listen to this, I hate to say this, but you're also putting your fingerprints on that car. So say the guy shot you, your fingerprints are on that car.
Wow. Genius.
Yes.
Never thought of that. That's amazing.
Yes.
And
so there's all kind of reasons why cops do the things they do. And maybe we'll have an episode on just that. The different things cops do, how they're taught, how they're trained, because I always thought the public needs to know how we're trained so they understand us. They understand why we're doing the things we do.
Danny, I know a lot of great people, really good people, good men and women who get terrified when they see a cop behind them, and they're not doing anything wrong, but there's a fear of the police here in America. And I'd like to see you and I help to bring an end to that with your knowledge and your transparency. We only have a minute and a half left of this episode, Danny. So I think part 2 will be inevitable. We'll decide when we do another police episode, but there's one more comment here I want to get to, and this will be my last comment. Someone says, Danny, how do police make sure you don't mistake their gun and their taser?
And unfortunately, it's happened. It's happened. And let me explain. Here's the thing. And Rocket, this is a good question. Rocket's always on our after party too. Hope you be there tonight. But okay, you try to put the gun on your right side, Pete. Okay, so you put your holster of the gun here. Okay, so right here. You put your taser the opposite way. So you have to grab the taser this way. Okay, so the taser is grabbed this way to tase them. Your gun is grabbed this way. So they do it on purpose. So you're grabbing your taser as a different thing. It's all muscle memory, folks. You got to keep your finger away from the trigger when you pull it out. It's all muscle memory. So they make you reach for the taser because cops accidentally do that. We had a lady accidentally, a female officer like 2 years ago, shot a guy on a traffic stop when she was going for her taser, but pulled her gun.
Wow.
And she did like 3 years in jail. You know what I mean? She accidentally shot this guy 100%. She was trying to tase him. Great question. And guys, we will have an after party tonight. What time we do it? 8:30.
Yeah.
8:30 on TikTok, the after party tonight.
Yes, I will be there for the TikTok. One last comment. Someone says they wish you could talk to these young kids in school so they would have a better understanding of cops. Please leave that on our Facebook page, the Minor Details Facebook page. Leave all your comments there. I think we talked some great things here today in police brutality. Danny has elaborated very well about what a law enforcement officer should do. And as we conclude this episode 13 of the Minor Details, we would love to thank everyone for tuning in. Please follow, like, subscribe, share on all platforms. I'm your co-host, Pete Pitts, and Danny Miner. I'll let you take it away.
Listen, guys, thank you. We will be here next week. If you want to hear a podcast on certain things, email us, right? thecrimesolver@yahoo.com. Yes, I have a Yahoo. I'm old. Don't critique me about it, or DM me on any platform. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you, and we'll see you all next week. Pete, thanks.
See you next time.
Do the cash walk, hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt.